Hello, I am Arez. This is War on Maps. This is not going to be part of a part series. This is actually going to be what if Europe and the Americas united. And I know Russia is mostly out of Europe, but because most of their population is literally in Europe, I'm going to put them in Europe. But yeah, I haven't finished making the borders in Europe itself. And it is Europe and the Americas uniting to become by far the world's #1 economy, #1 strongest country, and probably the world's #1 most populated country. I am not actually that sure about that. Last one? But it does look like that. So let's go see. Let's see how this is gonna happen. So basically this country won't try to harm any other country except unless they harm them first. And I'm pretty sure this is probably one of the world's most oil-rich countries, mostly coming from Venezuela and a lot from the United States. So I was just checking that border, but yeah, it's also one of the most diverse countries because you've got like Russia, Ukraine. This is one of the most diverse countries in the world by far. And there is not even a chance this would happen. And also, I'm gonna make this Western-based economy, a Western-based country because it deserves, because most of it is Western. So it should be Western-based democracy. So yeah, but this is gonna be pretty unstable country. But if Austria-Hungary survived for a couple hundred years, then I'm pretty sure this would survive for some time too. But yeah, this is never gonna happen. This country is basically gonna be like a world police, like the US is kind of. So yeah, no country would ever dare invade this place. But I'm not gonna make this country invade some others. But before we do that, we're gonna have some countries joining in on this union because they feel like they need to. And first we have Israel joining in, and then we have Cyprus. So yeah, those are the probably only countries that will join for this time. And this is definitely gonna be the world's strongest country. Like even if you send the rest of the world against this, that probably doesn't stand a chance. Oh, and also I forgot to add like Australia and New Zealand to join this because they are allies with pretty much all of Europe. And I know Turkey is not in Europe, but they do need to do this. But yeah, this country is easily controlling the global economy. And this is probably the world's most oil-rich country because of, well, South America, North America, and Russia and Norway. Like this is by far the most oil-rich. But yeah, there's going to be some countries that don't really like that. Most notably Iran, Afghanistan, China, Pakistan. Mostly all the stands don't like this. Also with some Middle Eastern countries they don't like Israel joining in on this. So yeah, China forces these two to join this, with him always joining this. And Mongolia is more of a Russian ally, so they will be joining on like that. And this is gonna look like a major global conflict, but who do you actually think would win? Blue team, red team? Well, let's find out. But first, I'm gonna need to add some countries joining on one side or another. Actually, I think Morocco will stay neutral. Wait, no. That's how that will go. That's how that will go. So yeah, I am really bad at Africa. If you guys have any like very good political knowledge of Africa, then you should tell me. But now we also have some combatants in the Caucasus region joining in on this. And yeah, and these guys are gonna join in on this because they hate Iran. Yeah, Iran. They hate Iran, so they're gonna join in on this. And they are gonna be one of the main suppliers of oil. Oh, and I forgot to connect the Danish into here. Nope, let's try that again. So yeah, this is a very major global conflict that I'm pretty sure you guys would know that blue team's gonna win. Yeah, that's pretty easy to figure out. And India is kind of forced into joining this war on Team Blue because they hate Pakistan, they hate China, and they're allies with the blue team. So yeah. And throughout this video, the humongous union will be colored out in blue. So yeah, let's go see. There's also Myanmar joining in on this, and South Korea. So first thing, India is very surrounded over here. So they're gonna, even though India has this area fortified, which is Kashmir, it's just like sending 80,000, like so much troops that India gets overwhelmed. And now they're pushing along here, but that's as far as they get. And now India's been conscripting, mobilizing, and managed to push them back. And in Myanmar, it's completely pushing into it. But China uses this as a way to cut off this tiny bit of land, that actually huge land. But now India reconnects and pushes China back around the Bhutan border. But now let's look at the battle at the Middle East. Israel is obviously, the Israel area and the Turkey area are going to be pushing around like Iran and Syria and Iraq, and completely like obliterate them until eventually you meet like some naval landings, and now this country is now landlocked. And now there's a spearhead heading towards Tehran and another spearhead heading towards Tehran. And eventually the spearheads meet and capture the city, encircling like the entire Iran military here, which was evacuated mostly, but not completely. So Iran is getting pushed back until they have to surrender. And now there's a push from Russia into Kazakhstan, and the push from Russia and Mongolia into Manchuria. And over here, South Korea is easily steamrolling North Korea because North Korea does have a pretty big military, but they are so technologically inferior that they cannot hold on. And now China is forced into fighting like that. And China figured out this is really not the best idea. Eventually, more Chinese troops get encircled, some more, and eventually they all have to surrender. And eventually China has to surrender. That chain reacts into pretty much all the red team countries surrendering. Because, well, China was the main one. So, yeah. The big alliance wins. And in the peace treaty, Jordan wanted to join the Union, so they did. Egypt wanted to, and Saudi Arabia and Iraq wanted. Iraq never wanted to fight this war. They were just forced into it by Iran. And now Iran and Armenia are also forced into this. Azerbaijan and Georgia joined this union just so they could become stronger. Iran is fully annexed to get more oil, and pretty much the entire oil industry is completely under this team, the union's control. And I mean literally the entire oil industry. Like they have Russia in there. They have now pretty much the entire. They have the entire Middle East under their control. And yeah, the Central Asian countries are left alone. But India wants to join the union. And yeah, Nigeria does too. So I will add everybody here. So China does not lose anything except that they have to pay humongous reparations, and now their economy is done for. Oh, and also, of course, South Korea gets to annex North Korea. And South Korea joins the Union through this, but they are pretty easily able to be cut off. There's only that small thing there. But now Japan also wants to join this union. And China is kind of forced to just be like a big economy and just an economic power, even though they don't stand a chance against this economic power over here. So yeah, the only place these guys are lacking is in Africa. But they do have the strongest country in Africa and the second strongest country in Africa, so I'm pretty sure they could survive this. But yeah, this is a humongous country, and Mongolia wants to join in on this too. And I'm not really sure. I'm gonna just make this country invade other countries because it's gonna be more interesting, because this country is gonna be way too peaceful to invade other countries, because it's like a global superpower. Like the entire world is under its control. But now it just decides to take over all of Africa by invading it all. And I know defender is usually gonna be blue, but I like blue, so I colored in the main country blue. So yeah, the humongous union just decided to just invade all of Africa. Not that this would ever happen, like this union would never actually happen. But yeah, they've been mobilizing, and now some troops from Egypt that were positioned in Egypt are pushing around to Sudan and Libya. Nigerian troops push into Chad and Niger and capitulate this country, which I have no idea, and capitulate that other country. And also Cameroon is nearly capitulated. And now there's some naval landings on Somalia, a naval landing on Madagascar, naval landing on South Africa, naval landing on Mongolia, a naval landing over here, a naval landing on Morocco, naval landing on Algeria, another one in Libya, some on West Africa. So yeah, these countries usually hate each other. Some of them hate each other, but they are forced into working together. Yeah, Sudan and South Sudan have to work together. And they are mainly focusing on getting rid of all those naval landings because they know those will eventually turn into a big front, which they are already beginning to. And Madagascar has nearly been captured until some troops came from over here to go help Madagascar out. This naval landing managed to be pushed out. So did the one on Libya. And also the Egyptian troops were pushed back. But these naval landings over here were very successful. And then they eventually reached the Egyptian border, and then eventually this happened. And then, yeah, so next there's this. There's all this happening. There's like these fronts linking up. And now there's another naval landing on Morocco, which eventually unites with the others to capture the west coast of Africa. And then Nigerian troops keep pushing down, eventually capture the entire west coast of Africa. And then Madagascar was taken over, and using that as a staging ground, they make landings on the eastern coast of Africa to try to take over that coast as well. South Africa is putting a lot more resistance than the other countries, but eventually it is capitulated. Its coast is captured, and then the fronts manage to completely link up and take over the entire coast of Africa. Not that the coast of Africa is pretty big. It is pretty big, but the entire coastline of the US alone is just even bigger, if you guys didn't know that. But now they're pushing into the Sahara Desert, but eventually they don't need to do that anymore because why would they do that? So instead, they're just going to push in from the center like this and eventually capture a bunch of stuff and eventually split Africa. And in the south, they are also pushing in. Because this is a plain right here, it is very easy for them to push in. So they eventually capitulate South Africa, and they also do it to Mongolia. So after having that, the DRC has been split into two, and the southern portion is falling quicker because the Union is focusing on taking care of the smaller place first. But in the north, Egyptian and Nigerian troops managed to split Africa into another two pieces, one in the Sahara Desert and one in, well, everywhere else. But this thing gets some countries pissed off, mainly these Central Asian guys and Sri Lanka. But eventually they decide that this is a stupid idea to fight against this union, and they all surrender. They all just decide to pretend that never happened. Now Nigeria and Egypt are making sure this border here is a lot, this front here is a lot thicker and stronger, which is what they're doing, and eventually they start pushing all around. Like they're just sending their troops to like strategic locations saying capture it. And eventually they like capture all of Chad. They capture the areas They capture most of Libya. The naval landings are advancing southward. And is the African continent looking too good? I don't think so. Africa is definitely going to lose this war, and in the peace treaty they're going to get fully annexed. So after that you can tell that it is going to be the world's most populated country, and then because it's also the world's most populated country and also the world's largest economy, the economy is really not in Africa, like basically at all. So to help make their economy in Africa some more, they are going to invest heavily on the region, and eventually they manage to. So eventually, you could see this coming, that Africa is just going to lose here. I don't need to explain it in more detail because I'm pretty sure you guys are smart enough to figure out that Africa does not stand a chance against this union. They probably don't even stand a chance against the US alone, like just the United States. Or maybe just like they don't even stand a chance against Europe. Like Europe, they don't stand a chance. Even without Russia, they don't stand a chance against Europe. And in the peace treaty, like I told you, there is full annexation of Africa. Why isn't this working? Zoom in. Keep erasing stuff. So after I finish erasing this border, you will see that this is by far the world's largest country. This is by far the world's largest country. Like even just adding like Russia would make it the world's largest country because it is the world's largest country, Russia. Nope. And this is a very unstable country. There are like three major religions in here. There's like Christianity, Hinduism, and like Islam, and they don't go together, especially when you add Israel. But yeah, we're gonna pretend it is stable. Yeah, we're just gonna pretend religion isn't a thing, and these countries are all love each other now, and each country is now its own state inside this union. Yeah, so the world will live happily ever after. Because nobody's ever going to challenge this humongous economy, and everybody's just going to unify with them just to be. And then this is probably going to be the world, the country of Earth. But though this union would actually never happen, like ever. This union is impossible to happen. Like, how would Russia and the US go together? Now, it does not make sense, but this is just a fun video for me, so yeah, I just gotta erase some more borders in here. And I'm pretty sure Indonesia and like some other countries would probably be happy to join this union because China is going to look to become the world's most populated country again by invading some populated countries, even their closest allies. But yeah, I'm sorry about all this border issue, but so yeah. Djibouti is left to stay alone because it's just gonna stay there. But yeah, blue is the country that started off as just the Americas and Europe, which was actually already huge. That then expanded to be this, and now it only needs Antarctica, which is actually what it just colonized. And they found more oil. More oil. So yeah, these guys are by far the most oil-rich country in the world. There's like, I guess Indonesia could be is oil-rich, but not really, because like this island has more oil than Indonesia. This island that declared independence, but then got whipped. But yeah, so yeah, Korea is part of the Union by this 1 pixel. That 1 pixel, like I'm gonna press Korea and let's see how much of the world gets colored in. That much of the world just gets colored in if I press Korea. So yeah, this is gonna be it for this video. I'm pretty sure the next video I will make is gonna be the part series that you guys love. And don't worry, I will do it. But don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.